in South Africa, where I did my postdoc between 2012 and 20. Education in a multidisciplinary way, information system and business administration, has enabled me to do work in various fields, including being a lecturer at the University of Nairobi School of Computing, and also supervising MBA students in Sone University of Technology. I've also been a member of Multimedia Appeals Tribunal between 2018 and 2021. To show my competence for this job, for which I want to thank His Excellency the President for nominating me to be the CS nominee, Information, Communication, and Digital Economy, I'll explain my experience in 5 main areas, starting with my research work, that I have done research that have informed policies in government ministry like Communication Authority, Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, and even for the creation of ICT Authority that was created in 2013, informed by a study or a research I did in 2007 on e-governance. For policy work, which again is key for this position, I've been involved in policy work, having participated in the development of the National ICT Policy 2006, but then also the current policy 2019, I actively participated. Honorable members, I've also been involved in strategy development, having been the secretary to the task force that developed the National ICT Master Plan 2014-2018. I was also one of the 4 key advisors to the government in the development of the current National ICT Master Plan 2022-2032. Honorable members, I've also been involved in implementation of projects. Having started my first 8 years of work, I did computer assembly, I did content development. I also implemented projects linking local communities with alternative technology. We called them telecenters then in the 1990s. So between 1998 to 2005, I developed or supported knowledge exchange among rural communities in Kenya, Uganda, and Tanzania. I also did the telemedicine project for the African Union, for the African Medical and Research Foundation in 2005 that again connected rural hospitals to central areas where doctors can get alternative advice. At the regional level, I've done work. I was seconded to the African Union Commission from 2019 until 2023. While there, among the projects I implemented was the African Union digital transformation strategy, which I was key in developing. I was also involved in supporting African Union member states in establishing internet governance processes. I also supported capacity building across the African Union member states and organized local internet governance forums that informed regional Internet Governance Forum, and then continental level, and then at the global level, where I coordinated African Union work at the Global African Union Open Forum. Honorable members, I've also been involved in the development of the African Union Child Online Safety and Empowerment Policy that was passed early this year.
Thank you, Margaret. That will do. It's a rich menu of what you have done. I'll invite members to ask you questions relating to the competence to which you have been proposed. It may also veer into what you have done. So we will expect you, when you ask any question, to be concise and precise and to the point, so that we can manage our time well. But nonetheless, the questions will be virtually from almost every member here present. We'll start with the Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and welcome, Dr. Ndungu. I have 2 brief questions. You're coming into office, if confirmed, at a time when Kenya is plans to digitize most of the government services. You're also coming at a time when we had challenges where some of our services like e-citizen have sometimes collapsed because they have been hiked. So the issue of cybersecurity and data security is rife. I'd like to hear your thoughts about it and what you would do if you came into office. And also the issue of Cyber Crimes Act of Cap 79 of the Laws of Kenya and the Data Protection Act, Cap 411 of the Laws of Kenya. They were enacted by Parliament, hoping that they could stop computer misuse, cyberbullying, exposure of personal data, and also incitement, like we saw when we had the protest. What measures would you put in place to fully implement those particular acts of Parliament? Thank you.
Margaret, nominee, go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker, through the chair. On the issue of government services, the government has digitized most of their system and most of the application to ensure that all citizens across the country are able to get government services from wherever they are. And while this has happened, one of the critical things that we must always remember is the challenge of connectivity in the rural areas. And as part of what the government has done is to ensure there is inclusivity. As if I am appointed or if this committee find it fit to approve my nomination, some of the things I will do is, first of all, to ensure that there is inclusion in the digital space. Then there is the issue of safety and security, which you have said, that we need to work within the existing regulation. There is the Cyber Crime Act that clearly shows our behavior in the digital space, which again is governed also under the international laws. So that is an area that is of focus and which is critical for the sector. Going to your second question is about behavior in the digital space and in particular during the time, protection of the personal data. Some of the measures that I will implement will be, first of all, enabling the right policies and regulations. We have the Data Protection Act, which is being enforced, but probably going by what we went through is consideration of whether it is inclusive enough. Do we need to do more regulations? Do we need to do more consultation? Because it is clear personal data is personal data, and private people, our constitution clearly guarantees freedom of expression or freedom of the media, but then also there is the issue of privacy under Article 31. So again, what I will do is to work with all the stakeholders to ensure that we have the right policies, we have the right regulation, but then also they are enforced.
And then the cyber security, yes, because that's very important. Right now, Kenya doesn't have one central place where the security of their data. Every ministry works in its own silos, and that's why they can't read into each other. So just say about the cyber security. It was even rumored when we had a power blackout that it was a cyber security attack.
Yes, cyber security is a global challenge, not just in Kenya. And the approach will be collaborative, and we are talking of the various stakeholders within the industry and government agencies. So what I will do is again bring all the stakeholders in private sector, public sector, academia, develop data centers where government data can be hosted, and ensure that we have the right skills to manage these data centers. But then also, there's the African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Personal Data, which again coordinates the work in the cybersecurity and ensures that adjudication, if the attack is not from Kenya, again, we are able to deal with those kind of issues. So it will be harmonization, collaborative approach, enabling environment, then ensuring that we are storing our data in safe data centers that are governed or operated using, aligned with international rules and regulations.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Dr. Margaret. From your very rich CV, you have extensive experience working in the private sector and in consultancy. I was just wondering, one, you definitely have interacted with the Kenya Kwanza Manifesto that had a lot to do with the digital superhighway and the establishment of BPOs the ICT digital hubs that members of parliament will be establishing in their constituencies. I'd want to hear how you would leverage from your experience, especially in the private sector, to get more people to invest in places like Konza Technopolis that has stalled largely because of inadequate funding. Well, as we have seen in the private sector, a place like Tattoo City, there are BPOs that are coming and setting up and creating employment for thousands of Kenyans. What will you do as a cabinet secretary if you are approved to encourage more investors like those that are going to private facilities like Tattoo City to go to Konza Technopolis and other such investments in ICT hubs? How will you encourage and work with members of parliament in the establishment of digital hubs to be able to create online jobs for millions of our youth around the country?
Thank you.
That will be all for now.
Through the chair.
Yes, call me chairman or speaker.
Through the Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
I'll answer the question from Honorable Ichungo. Yes, as one of the Kenya Kwanza manifesto is coming up with the superhighway, the digital superhighway, that is expected to be 100,000 kilometers, and that is being done in collaboration with the private sector. And the question is how we leverage the private sector. And to start with, the design of the cable is 52,000 by the government of Kenya and 48,000 in collaboration with the private sector. So as a ministry or as a government, what we need to do is to create an enabling environment, considering that this superhighway is inter-county, that is moving from one county to the other. So there is the issue of wayleave, is the issue of harmonization of policies from one part to the other. Again, we are saying that this superhighway is supposed to connect people up to the rural areas, and we are talking of 1,450 IHub at the constituency level. And with that, what we need to do, and in collaboration with the government, is again ensuring sharing of resources and infrastructure. And sharing of infrastructure, what I mean by this is looking at who is laying fiber across the country. We know the private sector is doing that, the government is doing that, including government agencies like the Kenya Power, like the Kentraco, sorry. So is collecting all that effort into one, but then also to support at the constituency level. We are working with the members of parliament and the community to ensure that these innovation hubs that are being created, there is sustainability in it. And one of the challenges that we have had in the past is having iHub or digital hubs without clear definition of clear idea of how they'll be sustained. With the change of the CDF Act that allows up to 2% of the total allocation to be used for recurrent expenditure, that is again one of the areas where we will be working with the private sector to come up with innovative ideas of how, first of all, to make this iHub productive. We need to link the work all to bring the young people in these constituencies to work in this iHub or to access information, starting from business information, information from the government, and to be innovative.
CS nominee, what I was asking in that, how will you come in, if approved, to facilitate members of parliament, because they will do the infrastructure, they will do the recurrent expenditure in the ICT hubs. The gap has been where the ministry comes in terms of provision of equipment, the computers, adequate and relevant training for, and having trainers of trainers who will go to the ICT hubs to actualize that program very quickly. That's what I wanted to hear your input. And one more question I'd forgotten. You seem very strong on the ICT sector, but there's also the communication bit of your ministry and regulation of the fourth estate. And we have seen in this country some players within the fourth estate, and that's the media, engage
by the technology.
1450 words.
Yeah, 1450 words, and enabled by technology. That means for every county, we can have a contact person, and we do train the trainer. So this first bunch, then we will use them to train the other. And probably we'll use the model that we used for the African Union Commission, because the training I have been coordinating is focused on the 55 African Union member states, and we can have a class of representative from each of these countries. So again, we can do the same at the national level, where we organize webinars, reducing cost of movement and the like, and ensure that we are impacting knowledge and skilling the people, and the focus being for socio-economic development. Because one of the challenges we have had is we have expanded connectivity. Everyone has a device, everyone has access, but the issue is what are we doing with this connectivity? And it is after establishing what we need to do for socio-economic development and contextualized for that particular constituency, that's when then we can create wealth, we can create jobs, and we can ensure that our young generation are productively engaged.
Junet?
Answer the second bit on for the state.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, for the second question, Honorable Member, is that, as you said, there is a need for ethical behavior in the way we behave. There are norms and confidence-building measures that are guided by our constitutions that our national interest must be first. And the media is regulated by the Media Act that stipulates the code of conduct for the media practitioners and journalists. And enforcement of that is critical, and then accompanied by the Data Protection Act that clearly shows what is private, what is not private. The expectation is self-regulation and self-censorship. But in the event that this does not happen, there are complaint mechanisms through the Media Council of Kenya and through the Media Complaint Commission where this can be followed. But the approach I will take, if approved by this committee, is collaborative approach, that first of all we need to spread national cohesion agenda, that national interest comes first, that the media has a role in terms of crisis, and it should not be seen to be escalating. It should be seen to be creating peace, love, and unity as per our aspiration in the country.
Speaker, sir, I wanted to ask the nominee two issues. One is in this information age, and you know, Kenya remains vulnerable to computer misuse and cyber crimes. But Parliament had enacted Computer Misuse and Cybercrimes Act, Cap 79C, and Data Protection Act 411C, to prevent that risk associated with those. But despite that, despite Parliament enacting those laws, people still experience cyberbullying, exposure of protected personal data, misinformation, disinformation, incitement, hate speech online, and those kind of things. Propaganda, incitement to violence. So what will be your plan to address those challenges? What do you think you can, as a minister, what measures will you put in place to make sure those things are addressed? That's one. The second one is about the media. You know, Article 35 of the Constitution. 34, freedom of the media. Very clear that says freedom and independence of electronic, print, and all other types of media is guaranteed, but does not extend to any expression specified under Article 33, which is very clear. Hate speech, propaganda to war, incitement to violence, advocacy of hatred, such kind of things. And also, the most important one is in the exercise of the right to freedom of expression, every person shall respect the rights and reputation of others. But now, are you going to be the kind of man, how far is your belief in the freedom of media? Are you the kind of person when you get annoyed, you'll shut down the media and close them down or break their equipment in the mountains? What is your view on that?
Thank you, Honorable Member.
Like when someone long time said, when you rattle a snake, if a snake is rattled, what will you do?
Thank you, the Honorable Member. I am a strong believer of the freedom of the media, being an information scientist, and also I believe that all the actors, while we have the media should be free, then it is their responsibility to be responsible and accountable. So there is a balancing act, and considering there are rules and regulations guided by the Constitution that defines our responsibilities, but then there are sectoral policies and regulation, starting with the Computer Misuse and Cybercrime Act that clearly stipulate what is considered a crime when you are using digital technologies, and the enforcing mechanism to ensure that everybody is safe and allowed to experience their freedom in the digital space. Again, the other thing of consideration is that international laws recognize cyberspace, and it's guarded by the same laws. So basically, again, is to align ourselves with what is happening internationally, because cyber security, cybercrime, all these issues of cyber hygiene, they are of global nature, and it's not only our country that is having these challenges. It's a global challenge. So again, is to align ourselves with what is happening globally. Again, the Data Protection Act, which again aims at protecting personal data and privacy, and that's another policy that needs to be enabled or to be strengthened to address these kind of challenges. And the other thing we said, self-regulation or self-censorship or every person, and recognizing that in digital space, you are dealing with masses. So it's about always the media following their code of conduct. Is it the right information? Is it factual? Have they checked the integrity of the information? So those are some of the self-regulations that we'll be pushing as a ministry to ensure that when we are exercising our rights as per the constitutions, we are abiding by the rules at the same time.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Dr. There's a place called Mulot in Bomet County. Mulot is where you have a group of young people who are extremely brilliant. They sometimes or occasionally misuse technology. They actually take money from your phone politely and have it deposited on their phones. Is there a way that, you know, as a ministry, you can tap into the knowledge of these many young people so that you have what we'll probably call ethical hackers? Sometimes you find government systems collapsing because of hacking, yet you have a group of so many young people, brilliant young people, who you can tap their knowledge on technology and have them earn meaningful salaries. What is your view on that?
Leader, I want to confirm what Nelson is saying. I'm a victim, and we are in court with a very brilliant young man. It is real. What Koecha said is real. I'm a victim.
Is the young man brilliant, or the opposite is you?
You know, Speaker, I'm just confirming the brilliant nature of the young generation we're having, and the CS as he takes up the docket. You are not just...
And I said that in jest.
Yes.
It's okay.
She takes, if she is appointed by this committee, you are dealing with a young, vibrant generation, competent on IT.
Thank you. You have exhausted your right to ask another question. Yes. Naisula, let's take one or two, then you answer. If you ask short questions, we can take even 3 at a time.
I'm happy with 2.
2. Okay. So you have had Nelson with a rider from Honorable Mole, now Naisula.
All right. I'll be direct because it's somehow been asked, because you've said the media has to be accountable and responsible. I want you to say it. What is being responsible and accountable? Because how do you plan to work with other government departments, ministries and agencies, including Parliament, to protect media freedom and secure public trust? The second question, revamping KBC. That has been a song every other day, and it's our national broadcaster. What are your thoughts about KBC and its current state and what it should be? The last one, Yes, and I have to declare interest. I worked there for 7 years. Now, the government has also reported that since the beginning of the program on digital jobs, 390,000 youths have been trained, while the government has helped create 139,000 digital jobs for the youth. The problem, Madam Nominee, is that Kenyans have lost trust. You can't verify this information. You know, a leader just says, we've done this, we've done that. What will this ministry, or what will you do to ensure that this data can also be seen and be verified by Kenyans as you communicate your government or the current Kenya Kwanza achievements in a verifiable manner?
Nominee, proceed.
Thank you, Honorable Members, for the question, and I'll start with the question from the Honorable Member Koech. The issue of young people being very competent, being savvy in technology and using it for the wrong things. And basically, technology was developed to address emerging challenges, but there are other things, the side effects of the technology. And yes, we have seen that we have very competent young people, and we are talking of creating centers of excellence where we can start software development. And the reason I'm saying this is that so far we have been focused on our entry-level skilling, but then we need to move a notch higher and start producing market leaders in software development, in software engineering, that can solve our challenges, but then also be the ethical hackers you mentioned. So that, first of all, our systems are going to be robust, but then also one of the challenges we are having is mass education on cyber hygiene, so that everybody understands their devices and also understand the interconnection of these devices from the device to the internet. What are the layers and what do they need to do? And that's another area that I find that these young people, we can make use of them to offer the training, and that will also be creating the jobs that the Kenya Kwanza government has promised the Kenyans. So in short is that we can harness these skills and ensure that we take advantage of these skills and enlarge to software development and engineering, and also use these young people to train user awareness, because as we move digital, everybody is affected, and we need to have a critical mass of people who are able to follow very clearly their digital prints and be sure of their security as they move along. Then to the Honorable Member Naisura, with regard to KBC, and yes, KBC is a public good that has very good resources that can be harnessed for the development of the country. Some of the suggestions I'll put forward is, first of all, looking at the business case for KBC, because what has happened is emerging technologies have come, and because agility in the public sector has not been able to move as fast as the private media houses. So one of the things I will suggest is relooking at the positioning of KBC, and in collaboration with other media houses, coming up with a partnership, leveraging on the huge infrastructure they have. Then it could be one of the ways of ensuring that they are sustainable. And also, we have challenges, international also, moving into the digital space. We may need to ensure that they move with times and start incorporative technology in their activities. The other question you asked is on digital jobs and whether we are able to do monitoring and evaluation to ensure that we can speak to the numbers we say we are training. And I think this is where, again, we have to work in a collaborative approach from the national government to the county government, and through the connectivity we are talking about out to the ward level, then we are able to correct exact data of who is using this iHub and what they are using them for, because that is another information we need as a country to ensure that we are directing development to where the need is. So yes, I commit as a researcher and someone who is guided by figures. That is one of my priorities, just to find out who are these young people that we say we have trained, and what exactly are they doing with the training we have provided them, and are they using it for the socio-economic development of the country and also to improve on their livelihoods. And then, because one of the work or some of the focus we'd want to do is also to focus on international jobs, that the fact that we are connecting up to the world level, we are connecting up to the marketplace, we are connecting up to the health facilities, up to local authorities. With all this connectivity, then what do people do with the internet? And this is an area that we now want to start focusing on content, and again, working with other government agencies like the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics. They have a lot of statistics that can be used by innovators and these young people in the rural areas to start coming up with solutions that can address local challenges. Because basically when we talk about digital space or internet, it is an enabler. It's an enabler in health, in education, in agriculture, and we should use it for that. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes, Posing. Honorable Posing.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable Speaker. To the nominee, what will you do with an animal called Universal Service Fund, which sits in CAK, Communication Authority of Kenya? That animal or that program was supposed to connect all, or put network in all rural places and constituencies and sub-locations. It has been there for a very long time. And this country, in the rural where we come from, are extremely unconnected.
What is it called, Posing?
Universal Service Fund. Yes, and yes, okay. So, Madam Nominee, this thing has been there for many years. Now you are coming, should you be appointed or agreed by Parliament and appointed, what will you do with that animal so that it does the purpose which it was supposed to do, that this country is connected, particularly in the rural areas? Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Vicaria.
Thank you, Chairman. Mine is a little bit connected with ICT and environment. The aspect of electronic waste. This country, we see a lot of refurbished electronic items coming, and of course, after the use of a proper electronic item, and it becomes a waste that affects the environment. The contraband, again, on electronics, again, is something that we also need to look at. What policy issue are you going to bring, whether between you and the Minister of Environment, to be able to assess the quality of the electronic that comes into the country, that they do not later affect the environment? Thank you, Chairman.
Yes, nominee.
Thank you.
Can answer those two.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. To the question by Honorable David on Universal Service Fund. Yes, Universal Service Fund that have been in existence for a while, as you have mentioned, it has been used for rural connectivity, and probably just to say some of the areas it has been used is for the fiber optic cable that is being developed, the 100,000, some of the fund comes from the Universal Service Fund. The Universal Service Fund has also been used to connect rural schools and rural hospitals. And I know it can be more used, and probably my take for now is that there's still a lot that needs to be done with this Universal Service Fund, and considering the source of the fund is from the operators, and being from the operators, the usage again is limited to the operators that contribute to it. So one of the things that we may need to do is to expand the sources of income for the Universal Service Fund, and also the uses for which it is put into. And in addition, I would say, in addition to funding the operators, the commercial operators, the fund could also be used to fund community licensees, those persons that are focused on community for and not for profit.
I don't think if the nominee maybe understood me. The fund was supposed to build networks in rural areas. These networks are not there. So coming in, what will you do? Should you be lucky to be approved by this parliament? What will you do?
Honorable member, I will first get the facts clear of what areas this fund has been used for, and based on that, recommend that sustainable model that can be used to do this. And
Margaret, I thought you know, when you are not sure, even no is an answer.
yes, yes.
Because you embarked on a very active answer saying it has been doing extensions in rural schools, rural hospitals, fiber optic cables, and so on. Then when he destabilized you with another question, you appeared to move away completely from that. So did you know what it does, or you didn't know what it does?
I know what Universal Service Fund do,
Yes.
and I know it has done a lot of support in rural areas.
Yes.
And yes, when he said that, I will need now to find out the areas that this fund has not reached, because basically the whole idea is to connect the unconnected, is for rural connectivity, and it is through this fund that we expect to move to areas where the private sector has not seen it viable to invest. And again, considering that our population, about 60% of the population is rural areas, and that's where we need more connectivity. His question is, the honorable member's question is very valid, and we must ensure that rural people, if you're talking about connectivity, digital inclusion, then no one should be left behind. Yeah. Yeah, probably I could just say on Honorable Gikaria's comment on management of ICT waste or e-waste, which is becoming a challenge as well, that we are importing or assembling all these ICT infrastructure, and we don't have a clear management system for managing the waste. So if this committee approves my nomination, and I must say in I was involved in development of an e-waste policy with NEMA that time, and I have not really followed the implementation since this committee. I look sure that we have clear policies. Government policies are very clear. My constituent, who is an IT expert, Kenya Kwanza, aware the vast majority of the world's advanced microchips are made in just two countries, Taiwan and South Korea. Taiwan's industry is large and dominant. $200 million.
Vast creative works that is by Kenya's strong internet connectivity has opened up opportunities.
One of the flagship projects of 2030, and actually is still one of the projects. There are universities, there are two universities that are going to be set in Kwanza. There is Korea Institute of Advanced Technology, and that is the Kenya Institute of Advanced Technology. And I think it's good that Korea is spearheading this, and we are partnering with them in the Kwanza project. So that is an area that the Kenya Kwanza government will focus on to ensure that, again, we are not just focused on entry-level work for our young people. We need to move them a step higher to start being the one who are informing emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, feeding the right data, because, again, artificial intelligence depends on data into the system. And we don't want a situation where, because as a country we are not participating in populating the digital space with data of integrity, then whatever comes of artificial intelligence is biased towards the data that is there. So this is an area that I will focus on. We will focus on advanced technology to ensure that we are selling. We are the Silicon Valley of Africa, so we are selling our technologies. We are starting innovation hubs where the private sector, academia, the public sector can come together and to collaborate on coming up with the best innovation that will solve our day-to-day challenges. Coming to the question by Honorable Daudi about the work of AJIRA, that the creative economy is about using technology and leveraging on what we already have. The answer is that the work of Ajira will continue. Household level should be harnessed towards socio-economic development. And again, our challenge is the youth. We are channeling about 800,000 to 1 million young people to the market every year, but we're not able to provide them with jobs. And starting with the iHub, Ajira, that's where we start now being innovative. And again, releasing government data, private sector data, and in a format that is usable. That's the only way then we are able to come up with solutions that can solve our local challenges and come up with our local solutions, not just for our country, because again, when you are talking about digital jobs, transformation, we should not just be talking about solving our own challenges, but then continental challenges, global challenges, and taking advantage of our skilled young people who are innovative, who are ready to move. I think they just need to be guided with the right policies, right regulations, right collaborations, and then the right ethics and social norms, because again, these are, if we are opening ourselves to global market, then we must align to international standards. We must, again, know the expectation of the clients. So basically, yes, it's preparing our youth for that. Again, the next question by...
And something, but you know that most schools don't have electricity, so they can't even charge them. And a kid from Olympic Primary School who has to go to the bottom of Kibra, I mean, how they can, so they can't take it home to the school, they can't charge it. So I don't know why you think it's viable. Unless you have a way you make it viable.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Yes, I think there is no option. We have to make it workable, because of the reason why we have the...
Margaret, you are being asked questions that would elicit your vision, not to explain as if you are the minister. You see the difference? He says there were meant to be computer labs, there were, school laptops, they were downgraded to tablets, and then he said they disappeared. Now, you are a nominee for this ministry, seeking to be confirmed. Don't defend what you didn't participate or what you didn't know. Explain, if you get the opportunity, what you will do.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for that clarity. Yes, I do.
Yes.
Yes. If this committee appoints my nomination, what I will do is to ensure that in every school, and I'll work with the relevant stakeholders, that will be part of my vision, to ensure that we have an inclusive, safe, and secure Kenyan population. And to do this, I'll work with my counterpart in other ministries, first of all, to ensure that sustainability, because I think what we lacked in our DLP project is inbuilt sustainability. That once the computers were taken to the schools, how are they going to be maintained? How are we going to train the teachers? How are we going to make sure that there's continuous learning? How are we going to make sure that there is electricity? As Deputy Speaker said, of the schools, there were schools that didn't have electricity and they used alternative technology, which again, they didn't look at a sustainability model. So if this committee approves my nomination, I'll work with the relevant ministries, relevant agencies to do another survey to understand what is the situation in all these schools and how best can we ensure that all the schools or the public schools, they have digital devices, and not only do they have digital devices, that they are using them, because also there is a situation where they have the devices, but they are not using, simply because, again, the skilling is a challenge. Another area that I would want to focus on is leveraging on, on local skills. That one of the challenge again of the DLP is the fact that there was no decentralized training of train the trainers or the teachers, so that there's probably a pool of trainers that will go to the schools. So again, collaboratively, I'll work with all the stakeholders to ensure that we have sustainability in the project.
Murugara. Honorable George Gitonga.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, mine is extremely brief and just from where she has stopped. If you succeed in getting approved by the House as the CS-ICT, would it be your position that you would actually try to make your ministry a rural ministry? Because as we speak today, it's almost urban, 90% urban. Because in rural areas, we do not have electricity, which is the key driver of ICT. Would you actually support, even as members of parliament from rural constituencies, where the electricity connectivity is extremely low, that all schools, primary and secondary schools, should be connected to the national grid and not solar, because solar doesn't even work for 2-3 months, it's gone. National grid, we are supplied with electricity in those schools so that we are able to move forward your ministry.
Thank you, Honorable Member of Parliament. Yes, you have said that whether if I'm approved, I'll commit to ensure that the rural population is included in the digital space. Yes, I commit to that, and to say I'm a member of the Policy Network of Meaningful Access, that is a UN network that is working to ensure that we are not leaving the rural people behind. The whole idea being that going digital, then we cannot leave half of the population in the rural areas. And if approved by this, if confirmed by this committee, I'll work with the relevant agencies to ensure that every rural school, and probably to support that with my experience, my primary education, I went to a school called Kendurum Primary School. They have a computer, they are not using it because they don't have the structure to use it. My secondary school, not many years ago. Between Olenguroni, it was global. And considering that, I wouldn't, it will be only happen if there is inclusive connectivity up to the ward level.
Owen.
Honorable Speaker, I want to ask this question on behalf of all other people who have not asked. Because I think the information that is coming out from the nominee is just the same thing. So I'm sure she will answer all these questions the same way. So on behalf of all the others, Honorable Speaker, you know, Kenya, the President's vision and flagship project, ICT hubs, ICT jobs, digital space, and more young people getting jobs there. We have moved to a certain level already. We have a base. How will you take this further as you come in? Your predecessor did some good job. How do you take it further, be above what there is, so that the President's vision can be realized within this term? I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Robert, he said he's asking on behalf of all of you.
Mine is slightly different, Mr. Speaker. And it's about dependence on IT, because we are noticing this happening all over the world. Recently, I think July 19th, there's a company called CrowdStrike, one of the top cyber security firms that caused a major global IT outage when they were trying to upgrade the software on Microsoft. And this has cost, like one airline, I think Delta, over $500 million in cases. Now, I'm asking this because in Kenya, all government services are paid into e-citizen. In fact, recently there was an attempt to have even school fees paid through e-citizen. And e-citizen, I understand, is in the hands of a private entrepreneur. So my question is, what is your view on this? And would you recommend building capacity when you come into this ministry so that we can have maybe a team of public servants or staff that belong to us that are paid by taxpayers that can be able to be trained and take complete control of that kind of facility? Thank you, Chairman.
Can you answer those two?
Thank you, honorable members of parliament. The first question is what I will do different from my predecessors. And yes, because the issues they have been working on, they are critical. They are critical. Yes. Connectivity is critical, devices is critical, capacity building is critical, so I will continue with that. But what I will do when it comes to capacity building, I'll move a notch higher to specialized training in software development, software engineering, and working with the CONSA, the university that is being set there, and focused on offering training, master's, doctorate level on engineering, the various facets of engineering. I think that is where we will move into so that we are churning out competent people who can work on the system. The other thing I'll also work on is in terms of content, that we are connected, we have the system now, we need to develop content and to develop solutions, innovations using the data we have. So that is, again, what I will do. Yes, going to the e-citizen. The question is whether we are safe to have all our data under e-citizen, and then also what we are going to do in terms of building capacity to manage the government systems and the like. Yeah, when it comes to e-citizen, is a good system, one-stop government solution for all applications and the like. That I think to ensure that sustainability, or to ensure that we have a backup. We have information in one central place that is very well secured in terms of physical infrastructure.
He said,
yeah.
We asked you that there's a platform called eCitizen through which payments are being made to government, including now a proposal to pay school fees through that platform, which he alleges is a private enterprise. So he wanted to know, if you become the minister, how will you ensure protection of public interest if it is a private enterprise? Wasn't that your question, Robert?
Yes, with that, Honorable Speaker, without sufficient information, it may be challenging to answer, but...
That issue has been like that for the last 10 years, and most likely this government will leave it the same way. So,
if you get there, look at it. Russell?
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Dr. Margaret, I'm looking at medium-term plan, 2023-2027, where the government plans to have startups and also attract investment from multinational technology companies. But at the same time, the government also is saying, let us establish in the wards what you call ICT hubs. But my question is, if you are going to attract international investors, and at the same time is startups, why don't you incentivize young men and women to actually come up with those ICT hubs, whether they have 5 computers, 10 computers, so that basically it generates employment and also it is able to invigorate that local economy, as opposed to government promising something that might take quite some time to establish. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. That is an advice and not a question. Take it in the stride. Thank you, Russell. Or Margaret, you want to comment on that? It's very good advice from the Honorable.
No, I think with that information, I will review and act accordingly.
Thank you. Sharia?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm okay to answer the question. Mine is a very simple question, Dr. If approved for appointment, what key results or deliverables can Kenyans expect from your office in the short and medium term? Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Sharia. Ishi?
Thank you, Honorable Chairman. Honorable Chairman, our nominees seem to have vast knowledge in terms of ICT. My question is, what do you understand by Internet Governance Forum? And how do you want to place Kenya in the continental space in matters pertaining to internet coverage and management? How is our country benefited from this IGF? And when you are talking about connectivity and you said, I just want to understand what level of connectivity is there right now as a country to go virtual in terms of our committee meetings, and maybe a way forward we need to go e-parliament. So what mechanism or measure are you going to put in place to ensure that you fast track this issue of connectivity so that even our electorates can understand what is happening in our chambers in regarding to debate of motions and bills, also in our committee rooms, so that they can appreciate that we are really working on our cardinal roles in terms of legislation, oversight, and representation. I think this is an area where you need to put more emphasis and come up with measures, unique approaches, so that we realize this. Thank you, Honorable Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Sergeant. Can you check whose phone is that ringing continuously? It's out of order. Margaret, nominee, can you proceed to answer those two?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I'll start answering the question by
it's you.
Honorable Bichi before I go to the question of my key results. What is Internet Governance Forums? Internet Governance Forums, they are meetings, let me say they are meetings that aims at governance issues when it comes to Internet, realizing that Internet is a global resource that affects countries, individuals in different ways, and there is a need to manage. And the origin of Internet governance is from the World Summit on Information Society, when member states globally came together and realized they need to come up with a way of managing Internet as a public resource. And the structure of Internet Governance Forum is that looking at national issues of connectivity, looking at infrastructure, ICT for development, the culture, education, all issues to do with ICT and how it is being used at the national level, and trying to see what are the cross-cutting issues? Like the issue of access has been cross-cutting across the country and across the globe. So again, these issues are taken at the regional level, where again, different countries come to discuss what are the challenges, what are the cross-cutting issues at the national level, so they come at the regional level. And from the regional level, again, you take the cross-cutting issues, which will probably be cross-data movement, harmonization of policies, and that is taken to the continental level, where again, the African Union comes up with a common position that is presented at the global IGF as the challenges across the continent. Kenya has a very strong internet governance process, actually the national one. These are held every year. The national one was held yesterday, and it has been very successful. And probably to say internet governance forums is a collaboration approach between the private sector, academia, civil society, recognizing that internet is a good that affects every stakeholder and every person. So, yeah, so that is answered. The next question you answered in terms of connectivity and fast-tracking connectivity across the country. And yes, that is one of my key results areas that if approved by this committee, we'll start baseline analysis to understand where are the gaps and what do we need to do? What options do we have? Who are the collaborators? What is the private sector doing? How can we use the Universal Service Fund? What can we, private sector, like new technologies, visas, very expensive, but in some cases, they have been seen to work. So is looking at the environment as we have it today and coming up with the best way forward. So again, I link this to my key results because that will be one of my focus, ensuring that there is connectivity and access. My other key result will be working on the African Union Convention on Cybersecurity and Data Protection ratification. And probably just to say something about this convention, it was developed in 2014, and it needed 15 African member states to be ratified. And it was only ratified last year in June after the 15th country ratified, and Kenya is not one of the countries that has ratified, which is a very important convention to govern our work and to ensure that we can collaborate with our neighboring countries when it comes to issues of cybersecurity. My third key results will be implementation of the National Master Plan. As I said, I was one of the advisors of the ministry in developing the National Digital Master Plan, which means the issues in that master plan, I aligned with them, issues of infrastructure, capacity building, support of digital platforms, and innovation and tech. So I will progress implementation of that master plan. Then creation of green national data centers. Again, we are talking of using renewable energy, and this also will address the issue of e-waste so that as we are getting more devices, as we are moving more digital, then we are also able to deal with issues of zero energy transmission and renewable energy. And the final one is the issue of affordability, that as we stand, there are households, there are people who use more than 30% of their disposable income on connectivity, on devices, and that is because they want to be in the digital space. So the issues of affordability up to the rural person, up to the person, the mamamboga, has to be addressed so that every person can access the digital space and be able to be there and do their socio-economic activities.
Mukami.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Nominee, what personal accountability measures will you adopt to ensure that information technology is used to combat corruption within the entire government?
Amisi.
Speaker, I just have a question.
A question is a question. If
Yes,
you have none,
yes. Now,
you can pass.
Madam Nominee, the artificial intelligence is a technological advancement that is almost mimicking structure and function of a human being. And of course, it has now taken all the facets of our life. Universities are struggling with it, business environment. How do you regulate technology, advancement and the use of technology without infringing the other basic rights of a human being, the freedom of speech and all that? Most of our cyber laws that we've passed, they have always hit a snag because of infringement to other laws of human rights that exist. So how do you regulate without infringing on other rights of human beings?
Nominee.
Thank you, Honorable Member. That use ICT to combat corruption in government. ICT is an enabler, and it facilitates the work, measures transparency, integrity in system, ensuring that by the young, innovative people, then we'll be able to ensure that what we feed into the system is what we get from the system. And therefore, ICT will ensure that we enforce what we do offline. So corruption has to be done away from the manual part of it. Then the ICT will ensure that we have integrity in systems to protect our data. The question with regard...
Madam Nominee, do you think you can implement e-procurement in the government during your time?
Honorable Speaker, I would want, first of all, to explore so that I don't commit and I don't know what are the underlying opportunities or challenges in e-procurement.
Thank you. That's a good answer. Have you finished?
Yes.
AI?
Yeah, there's one question on artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And probably to say when it comes to emerging technologies, for us to regulate, because emerging technologies cuts across jurisdictions. And therefore, while as a country, we can come up with the policies and guidelines to govern the artificial intelligence, development of artificial intelligence, we need collaboration with other countries. And probably to say the African Union just developed a continental strategy on artificial intelligence that again on how to approach issues of artificial intelligence. And approved by this committee, I will now critically look at what is in that artificial intelligence strategy and see what we can adopt as a country to ensure that we progressively move forward.
Thank you, Margaret. I will now ask you a few questions. Have you ever been adversely mentioned in any integrity-related report or investigations in your life?
No.
Your net worth?
My net worth is 9.
Okay. Made out of?
Movable 5.5 million. Immovable assets 54 million.
Hold on, Margaret. Page 12. Go on.
Immovable assets, 54 million. Treasury bills and bonds, 25.6.
Movable assets, you mean cars?
Yeah, movable assets. Yeah, I have one car.
Yes.
I have immovable assets. That is house, land, yeah, mainly. I have SACCO shares, 1 million. I have treasury bills, 25.6 million. I have cash and cash equivalent of about 11.5 million.
We leave it there. And thank
you.
The committee will make its findings on both you and others that have appeared before us. So we wish you well.
Thank you.
You may take your documents. Go ahead.
Thank you, and I want to sincerely thank the President of the Republic of Kenya and all the people of Kenya for the confidence in my ability to drive the accelerated implementation of Kenya's digital transformation agenda. And I want to assure this honorable committee that I am fully aware of the enormous responsibility put on me. And upon your approval, I am confident that I will lead the sector in the best way
Not
possible.
upon our approval, if approved.
If approved.
Yes.
And Honorable Speaker, sir, I thank this vetting committee and Kenyans at large for listening to me and the support.
Thank you. Thank you very much. We may now release you.
Thank you.
Sergeant, you can show the nominee the way.
Same time, 7:30. See, today we did better.
Yes.
We started early and went for shorter breaks.
Yes. Today we finish what time? Same time.
Same time, I think it was 8.
Yes. Today. Yesterday we finished at 8, so you have done a little better.
15 minutes.
No, 7.
But we started
Hakuna.
later, yes.
Order, we'll discuss that in a short while. Our friends from the media, you may take your leave. Omwami, was there lunch?
Satisfied.
Yes, it was fine.
Satisfied.
You are satisfied? Very good.
Kama si leo tumekuwa na yona.